You're listening to Until They Sleep, a podcast where two parents finally get to sit down and discuss all the different things that run through their heads every day because their four kids are finally asleep. Thanks for listening.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Until Asleep. I'm your host, Daniel, joined by my wife, Chantel.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello. So, I was told right before we started recording that it is episode 50. So, yay. Crazy. We're halfway to 100. I know we've been saying it, but it's just like, wow, we reached that goal of a year.
Yeah.
And now we're hitting 50?
Well, technically, we would have hit 50 had we recorded every week.
Oh, no, yeah, no.
Last year, because there's 52 weeks in a year. But, we have to give ourselves some breaks.
We all know life happens.
It's exhausting. Plus this.
Work, plus, this.
Work and more work and more work.
This podcast is sponsored to you by us. So this is part of the reason why sometimes it's hard to do all that. So, episode 50. Thanks for hanging around, being part of the crew, being part of the family. And hope it's been fun. And may we continue to do another 50.
Yeah.
And so more down the road. I really enjoy having our sit-downs and our conversations. And I know sometimes we ramble on, but it's always good.
But I think that, we had said originally that the whole purpose of this was kind of like our couples therapy so that we can sit down and talk without being interrupted by the kids.
Right, yeah.
And at the same time, when we look back at the things we've said or the things we've done, we're at a point now where, I think we touched on this in the last episode or two, where we're kind of like, oh God, what the heck was I thinking when I said that? Or when we had that discussion. And, that's the whole point of this is, right, you talk, you do your thing, and you grow, right? So who we were starting out a year ago is not necessarily who we are going into this new year, right? Yeah. And at the end of this year, we might look back at what we're saying now and think the same thing or be like, hey, we need to keep doing that,
Right. And there's a couple of other things that I'm kind of like interested in. I know I always said about having like guests like every once in a while.
Other than our children.
Yeah. And so far we only had our kids because it's, scheduling wise and it's easier.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have an interesting family. You have 3 interesting brothers. I think that will be awesome just to... Every time we have like a family get together or whatever, I kind of want to take the gear and record it because there's always like such freaking cool conversations going on, weird conversations. And then it will be kind of cool for fucking people to see that
dynamic
and how much of a caveman I am about it. Like,
versus
what a brute I am compared to, you guys are like all smart and logical thinking.
We're Spocks.
Yes, and I'm more like you said, more like the puppy, the emotional, the grudgeful person.
But I think that's because my brothers are all about like self-analyzation.
Well, I am too.
Well, I know, but they control their puppy.
I control my puppy.
You're doing better, yes.
No, I control my puppy, but the difference is that I'm more passionate than all of you. So that's the difference about it. But I know, I think it'll be awesome.
And we want to be more educational too. Right?
Well, but it's a family dynamic, right? So people want to hear, and I really want to talk to your youngest brother because as a dog trainer and how long he's been doing it, and he always uses some of those examples with children and.
He uses
the dogs and kids and some of it kind of does go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not going to be giving kids a dog treat every time they do something right.
I mean, that's what allowances
sometimes I do it with the babies. Give them a piece of chocolate. But I learned that from the Big Bang Theory.
We can bribe them with candy.
Yeah, I learned that from Big Bang Theory. A little
the
behavioral
older they
training.
get, they want money.
Yeah. But so that's what's up. So our last episode, I hope you guys enjoyed it with our 7-year-old hijacking us and having that conversation with us. And we were bouncing left and right.
You can tell who she loves more.
I don't know.
She didn't say anything bad about you.
It's funny because it's flipped, right? In the beginning, it was all
Yeah.
mom, 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 and she didn't want really that
Anything.
much to do with me.
Mhm.
So it's funny now that, it's kind of like daddy, daddy, daddy.
I think it's part of growing up because she knows that you'll give in, and she's realized mom won't.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also noticed too, it's kind of like the middle child thing too. She's looking for that attention, and I kind of don't ever want her middle ones to feel neglected or excluded.
Which is why you give in.
And so, yeah, I give them the time and the attention. So to them, there's like, that actually listens to us. Spends time with us, or jokes with us, or plays with us. Or...
I spend every day of my life with them.
Of course you do, but for some reason, you're the mom, and they like to argue with you.
I'm always pointing out when there's like a strict mom or something on TV, or we hear another mom around us scolding her kid. I just turn and say, I'm not the only one, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Yeah. No moms are fun.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
Oh, yeah.
How's your new position?
Oh, man, it is interesting. So I am getting my butt kicked. It's good to get some of that rust out of the joints. Something new.
You expected it to be easy, right?
No, I did not expect it to be easy. I expected there was going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of studying, which
there is.
There is. I was not wrong. However, I did not expect all that physical stuff. I didn't think it was going to be that physical. Mm-hmm. So it was very physical, and I don't know if you guys know this or have heard before, but I am a little bit worn down and beaten down in my body wise from accidents and military and sports and everything. So my knees, my legs, my quads are not quite what they used to. So I really need to concentrate on. I was concentrating on, that was like one of my goals for the year, to try to make my legs strong again. This job is definitely going to do that to me. I have been limping. I couldn't walk to my car after the first physical day.
That's just because you're not used to it. Yeah. The last position you were in,
it was more managing.
You were
things.
More, supervising and.
Yeah, exactly. But it's awesome. Everybody's been really cool. Everybody's been really nice.
Very different than where you're.
Yes, everybody's willing to give me some input, some advice. They are all taught me something so far. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. It feels like a really cool team, really cool set of guys. A lot of them are older gentlemen, or half of them. The other,
which is also different from your last position because everybody was younger than you.
Right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I keep on hearing it'll be a year or two before I actually get comfortable and feel good about the job. Yeah, confident about the job. For me, that's my one thing. It's not them, it's me. I get very frustrated. I have a very short fuse, so.
Oh, I'm well aware.
So I get frustrated at myself that I can't help them out as much as I would like to, and I feel like I'm holding them back at moments when it comes to the thinking part or driving things or doing things. Sorry. And another one, well, the physical body after a while. I start getting stiff and sore, and it's hard to do some things. But, hey, I'm trying. I'm going to go down swinging.
Well, you are younger than them, so you should be able to do more than them physically.
Yeah. I'm prepared. But when I started telling them about my accidents and everything, they're like, oh, damn, all right. We never did anything like that.
they took better care of themselves when they were younger.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be fine. I know you'll be fine. You got this. Like, you always manage to succeed at the things you try. So I'm not worried about it. And I just know you need to believe in yourself.
Oh, no, yeah. And most definitely, I like it. It's something that I wanted to do. So I look forward to it, and at the same time, I know there's a lot of people that I work with that are kind of jealous and they want me to fail, so I can't give them that satisfaction either,
Yeah, you're all about that too, proving people wrong.
Yeah,
so.
I love me some me, and I love the hate. Haters welcome, But thanks for asking. Yeah, no, I love it. It's cool. It's awesome. There's a lot of stuff. Ask me again in a month, and we'll see where we're at. Maybe by then I'm like, hey, I'm done.
I know you've been very tired when you've gotten home, and you were surprised by that physical aspect of this new position, because I think you had told me the consensus in your previous department was that this was going to be cake.
Yeah,
right?
everybody thinks it's gonna be cake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're learning it's
No,
not,
no.
or they're hazing you, one or the other.
Which is fine because I feel better. Like I'm limping less.
Yeah,
As the
you
day goes
need that
by.
mobility.
So yeah, I need. It's one of those things. You. It's like if like me, I'm really stiff, and if I start stretching every day and I start doing yoga, I'm pretty sure in a year or two I'll be as limber as I was
You just
5,
have
10
to
years
remember
ago.
to stretch when you get
Yeah,
up every day.
exactly. So it's the same thing with this job. I'm doing things that my body's not used to doing. I hasn't done it in a long time. So it's just a matter of time before it gets comfortable and strong in those areas again. So yeah. It's a 50-50.
All right, cool.
It's some sitting and some active. So one day. So it's awesome.
Okay, you get your workout in.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
as I
yeah,
told you, you don't
yeah.
have...
I do not. So before I did my job, like even before I was in
supervisor,
charge
yeah.
of people or whatever, I did my job, which was physical, and
You
I
still
still
go
went to the gym.
Yeah.
Right now, I am just doing my job, and no, like I'm not going to the gym tonight. I am done. So yeah, that's pretty freaking funny.
Well,
but, yeah.
I appreciate that you get home a little earlier, so I know you're getting a little more sleep than you normally do.
Yeah, I'm trying to retrain myself to try to go to sleep earlier too. Because the first week I think I was kind of more of staying up. My body was staying up to what it was used to.
Yeah.
So
instead of going to bed, and then you're super tired because you have to go in earlier.
right, yeah.
Right. So,
But yeah,
okay.
cool. Thanks for asking. Yeah, appreciate it.
Well,
how about you?
I put everything's good. I mean, accounting's
Work.
accounting.
Yeah.
it's end of year tax time, and I'm just rushing to get reports done and taxes done and state taxes for all these different states and make sure we're registered, and the wonderful, interesting world of accounting.
Yeah.
I really am not going to go into all that.
And then we have update, right, with our oldest. So after the last recording, we started talking about the whole lacrosse thing, and so now we're gonna be looking at a new league and some tryouts.
That new league, they actually have a shootout practice coming up this coming weekend, which will be right before this, right after this episode posts. So we'll be checking that league out and see if it's going to be something he's really interested in pursuing, because he's got to want it. I'm not going to be driving him to all these different things if he's not going to show us that he really wants it. So, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, but we'll see. It's to be determined still, because we still have to check out the league and check out practices. And I know they have their first shootout tournament next, like in 2 weekends. It's in Irvine, but we'll see. We'll see how the practices go first, and how confident he feels.
Back on the grind. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's gonna be. That's going to be another rusty one right there.
Yeah, he hasn't played lacrosse in a long time, like with people who actually know how to play, because his siblings don't count.
He's gonna be way behind. He's gonna have a hard time.
Well, we'll see how it goes, but that's about it with the lacrosse stuff.
And I'm looking into some soccer leagues for the girls.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, you had said that.
So yeah,
and then I posted a "Would you rather?"
Oh yeah.
It was also from speaking of our eldest. He's the one who asked me the question: is would you rather live near a active volcano or a turbulent ocean? And when he asked me this question, actually, I'll have you answer it first. What would you prefer?
Yes, they're both tough ones, to be honest. When you say volcano, like semi-active or turbulent volcano,
Turbulent ocean.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. When you say volcano, though, I think about, was it Pompeii?
Yeah.
And like being a kid and opening the books and seeing all that, those bodies kind of preserved and like
Well, yeah, I imagine if you couldn't get away in time.
Right. So, but if it's kind of active or it's rumbling or it's moving, there's all that smoke, all that ash that's coming out, even though there's no lava or anything like that. But that's bad air. That's
Yeah,
bad air.
that's
That's
true.
bad stuff. So that sulfur and everything. So that health wise, it could destroy you a whole lot sooner. And slowly or whatever.
No, I don't know. Yeah, he didn't
No,
specify
I'm just
how
thinking.
active the
No, yeah,
volcano
but
was.
it's active. It's
Yeah.
going to be active in your lifetime. Let's say it's active every 5 years or 10 years or whatever now. But it's moving. In order for it to be, even if it's active every 10 years, it's going to be doing something in between those 10 years because
Yeah.
it's not just going to be
You just
covered,
get
right?
the earthquakes and all that stuff.
So that's one thing that I will be scary, and if that shit erupts, I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't outrun. You can't. You can try to outrun it. I mean, well, I don't know. People in Hawaii do pretty good.
But I mean, you think about volcanoes, there's now all this tectonic and scientific instruments that record
Right.
the possibility of an eruption, so they can give people plenty of warning,
Yeah,
if they
but
need to get out of town.
and they're pretty accurate, right? But not at 100. So
Yeah, I mean, but
I
again,
mean, come on, we can't
I'm
even
not
predict
saying
the freaking weather.
I know, but I mean, I don't think his question was
You think you're gonna predict Mother Nature throwing a tantrum?
well, it's the same with the ocean.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you
So
can't even trust a
would
fart.
Would you rather live?
Are you gonna trust a
Oh my
volcano?
gosh. Are you going to? So then you're saying you would rather live next to a turbulent ocean?
So I freaking have this nightmare since I was a kid about tsunamis.
Yeah.
You have when we were kids, you told me that it was probably because I died in the tsunami in a previous life,
Yes.
and so I do have this freaking fear of drowning. I think part of the reason why I was like, hell no, I'll never join the Navy. I can't. I'm gonna drown. I don't want. It's like one of my fears.
Out in the ocean.
I seen some videos where those waves get so crazy, and they're just the ships are just like boom. I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So it's like, how do I want to die? Do I want to drown, or do I want to? I don't know.
Burn,
melt. I know that. Yeah, they're both horrible ways to die.
I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I think I would take the volcano because, again, there is a lot of science out there, a lot of technology out there that
you would take
will
the
warn
volcano
you.
because it will get so hot that you feel like you're, back home.
That's not even true because there's active volcanoes in Hawaii and other parts of the world, and it's beautiful and they're tropical.
Yeah, but those are islands.
Yeah, but there's also any of the active volcanoes in the States are not in the desert.
No, and you're right. And there's been, I think, way less deaths from volcanoes in the last 100 years compared to the
water
ocean.
than the ocean.
So then,
I mean, I would take my chances living near a volcano.
I think
Maybe I'd just be in an RV though.
I'm just afraid of a volcano more than.
I
mean, do I have to live like close to the ocean, like on the beach?
Yeah, you're like on the beach.
Beachfront property.
Yeah, beachfront property.
Well, hell yeah, I take that.
You'll take the beachfront property, even though you're afraid to death of tsunamis.
I'll try to go out like in a boaty, I start seeing those waves, and I'll be like, oh,
okay,
here I go, man.
You're watching too much Point Break.
I was watching that today too.
I know.
Yesterday. And
well, that was our question.
The OG, okay, not that remake. Crap.
That was our question from our
That's
eldest.
a good one.
And honestly, nobody answered it. So.
Well,
Nobody answered that question. I guess, I don't know, people don't want to think, or it's just literally a neither.
I saw you post it, and I started thinking about it, and I actually in the beginning I said volcano, but but I just started thinking about it. I'm like, nah, fuck that. I think I do the ocean because I have a wife that told me that if I live in the Pacific, around it's kind of hard to have tsunamis.
It's true. Like our California coast is Southern California coastline. I guess except Imperial Beach area is not prone to tsunamis. At least not very large waves. Because of, anyways, geology stuff I took in college and I loved it. Again, I'm not going to go into the details of that.
Yeah.
If you're into California geology, you'll know.
Maybe we can get in contact with like some type of scientist one day and have them
Explain it.
yeah,
Like why you
look,
can't.
look, on average 1,000 people die from volcanic activity each year.
Okay, but where? Because they
Like,
live at the base of the mountain in a village where they don't have a car to drive away.
I don't know. This is
Where?
generic answers that I just Googled it, all right, and then I get this generic answer.
Versus
thing.
how many people?
AI.
How many people?
I'm
going to
look that up too
ocean?
because I'm curious. So it says on average, 1,000 people die from volcanic activity each year, according to a FEMA database. The average number of deaths per year from eruption has been 917 since the 20th century. So it's not. This is not just. It's 917 from eruptions, but it's 1,000 probably from volcanic activity in the year. So pyroclastic density, clouds
don't get
of
scientific.
hot gas
Don't
and
get
volcanic
scientific.
material.
Okay, what about the water? How many people have died from turbulent tsunamis hitting the coast? I mean, we know thousands of people have died from tsunamis.
Yeah, I guess that is great. Okay, so since the 1500s, according to this, right? 59,958 people have died from volcano activity.
Okay.
From tsunamis, 56,822.
Less?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
56,8. So about 3,000 less.
3,000 less have died from tsunamis than volcanic activity. I mean,
from volcanic mud flows, 56,315.
Mud flows, yeah. Okay.
From
all right.
from tephra, which is fragments of ash and rock ejected from an eruption, 4,315.
That's crazy. It just comes shooting out of the sky. The sky is falling. That's where that applies.
From avalanches,
yeah.
We have 3,525.
Okay.
And
I mean, but that's like literally you live right there.
And toxic gases released by volcanoes between eruptions, 2,283.
See, they track all this stuff.
So volcanoes, if you add all that, because they're all related to volcanoes right there, it's still more deaths than the tsunami.
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
interesting though. I didn't expect those numbers.
Yeah.
Like they actually broke it down.
Well, like another idea is like turbulent ocean. You see like coastlines where lighthouses are. Like, why do the lighthouses exist?
Yeah.
To help direct the ships right from hitting the coast because of how turbulent the waters are in that area. Yet you don't really see houses living. You see the lighthouse, but there's not necessarily any houses around the lighthouse because nobody really wants to live next to the turbulent water. So, anyways, I guess each his own. This was our kid's question. He actually said he would pick the volcano as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you see it. Oh, it's activity. I have time to run and everything. But like we said, there's stuff being shut off. There's gases. There's stuff like that will take an effect on.
Yeah. I guess it just he didn't specify how close to the mountain.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about. That's more the tsunamis. I mean, we know when you're gonna get a tsunami.
Yeah.
Like if you're smart enough. I mean, even a 5-year-old can tell you like, oh, the water is really going in. Guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's one of those, I need to start
it's
running.
It's so crazy, though, when you think about that, though, because how many times have we gone to beaches where the water goes out,
right?
And you can walk forever, what it seems like forever.
But those are like the
it's
Gulf
an ebb
and
flow. Yeah. But isn't it crazy, though? Because it's the same idea. Like, how do you know? I guess you just have to know the time of tide. The tide. Yeah. You'd have to be familiar with the tides. I was a kid
and I went to San Felipe and I first saw that.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw it.
And I was like, I am not going in that water. Like, we need to leave. This thing's going to come back and
was walking on
drag us. And my dad laughed at me. He was like, oh, look at this big puss. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, the water went away. Like, have you not watched the ocean, Father? The water goes and it turns into a wave and it comes back crashing and it keeps on flowing in.
I remember the first time I went to San Felipe was by myself with one of my girlfriends, And we walked. We were I don't even, some little campground, and we just walked on the dang ground.
Yeah,
Forever and ever. If we walked so far until we finally saw the water where it dropped, where the shelf dropped
did you ever
again.
see where the like the fishermen's boats like just stayed
In
and the
San
water keeps like
Felipe,
going?
yeah, I saw the boats like were like down on the, like anchored to the ground.
So when the first time that happened, and I finally, had the pair to start walking towards in it, and because I wanted to get to the boats, I was like, man, that is pretty far.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was a little puddle, and I sunk in there, and I stepped on a stingray, but it was dead. It scared the crap out of me, and one of the locals started telling us, yeah, that's the only bad thing about here. So you still have to walk once you're getting to a certain area. You should be dragging your feet because the stingrays will still stay down there, and they will still get you. So that stayed in my mind. It was my dad took me, and about 2-3 of my nephews and nieces. And it's funny because many years later, one of those nieces went with her kid, and her kid got stung by
A stingray.
Same thing. Water went away. They
And
went
they
for
were
a walk.
walking.
And my brother, her grandfather, also at another time got stung by a stingray.
Yeah.
Same
Oh,
shit.
I got lucky then.
No, that water is.
Well, but I wasn't, when I went walking on the seafloor, it wasn't in San Felipe. It was like before San Felipe, some campground that we stopped at.
Yeah, it's still part of San Felipe.
I know, but it was like, I don't know. Either way, I saw that and I was like,
yeah, I still take the water.
if a tsunami goes away, though, how do you know that that's not a tsunami? But I understand it's ebb and flow.
Like whenever that tsunami hit, and it was a little
Japan,
girl.
the
Was it
Japanese,
in Japan
big
one?
tsunami
Maybe,
that hit
but it was a
Japan.
comedian that made fun of it, and like the fact that the water went away, and the little girl was like, "Mommy, Daddy, we need to get a high ground. There's a tsunami coming," and they were like, crap, yeah, let's go. And they went out to the resort that we're at, and they were trying to get to the very top. And he was making a joke about, like, most kids, they see that and they'll start singing, "The pineapple under the sea."
I know, I'm pretty sure the Japanese kids are not watching SpongeBob SquarePants.
But, most kids,
the
like,
difference.
they'll be like, oh, okay. And yeah, that little girl saved their family. Unfortunately, most of the other people were like, oh, wow, beautiful, amazing. And they kept on walking in, and when the water came back, like,
It was too
dragged
far.
them, yeah. So, yeah. So, well, we went off for a while on that one. Sorry. And then what else? What else did you want to talk about? We were talking about.
Well, again, just staying on the subject of our eldest, we've been talking business and finance lately, and we've talked about allowances. He's asked for an allowance before, and I think we touched on this subject early on last year.
Yeah, when I made that joke about I allow you to use my food.
Yeah,
I allow you to
yes.
use my shower, my hot water. I allow you to eat my food. I allow you, yeah.
And because he's got it in his head he wants to start a business.
Right.
Which is great. He's talking about starting a business and how he wants to start a business. And I'm very proud of him for wanting to start a business.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know that he has the true drive to make it happen.
Still a kid, yeah.
I know, but he's
but it's good that he's already thinking.
He's thinking about it. So he's been talking to a teacher at school about business, and this teacher lent him a book to read over the winter break. It was the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And he was reading it, and he's asked me questions, based on that. And I was like, you know what? I've never read those books myself. We found out that there's books for kids and teens, specifically meant for parents to help teach their kids. And then the teen one is aimed mostly at teenagers.
Right.
So we started listening to the audibles for those, and you went ahead and downloaded those for us. And
yeah, you guys were going on a trip, and I got that one for teens because
Yes.
I was like, oh,
we can
something.
listen to it on the road.
Yeah. We'll see what he thinks about it.
In it is, he touches on the subject of allowances. So, like, my point of bringing all this up is because our son's been talking about business and allowances, and
it's a good subject.
And we've been on the whole fence of, no, you don't get an allowance
Right.
for chores or for like things that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, he agrees.
Okay. Oh, he does.
He agrees.
Oh,
He
nice.
agrees that you should not be giving your kids,
I,
because
I've
then
I caught shit for not giving them an
not giving the
allowance.
kids allowances. Yeah,
It's
and
just people that when I let them know, they give me.
it's because he says you end up with children who feel entitled
Mm-hmm.
to receive an allowance. And he gave an example, and it's going to be just my brief recollection of
Okay,
it, because I don't
hit me with it.
remember
I'm
exactly.
very interested in hearing this point of view.
He basically said that he was with a friend, and for some reason the friend gave his teenage kid, like a 16-year-old, some like $100.
Damn.
And the kid just pocketed the money and walked away. And the dad was like, "Are you going to say thank you for that?" And then the kid turned around to his dad and in front of his dad's friend saying, "Why would I thank you for something you're supposed to give me?" And he said, and then he went on to complain. He went on to complain that it wasn't even enough because his friends at school got even more than that. And I don't recall exactly what happened from that. And this didn't happen to the rich dad, poor dad guy.
Right.
It happened to someone he knew.
And they told him the story, and so
Yeah. And so again, that just kind of brought to mind the whole entitlement thing. So our son and I, and then all the kids, because we were all listening to this, we had that conversation about, okay, well, see that example of a kid who feels like, oh, well, it's my money and you have to give it to me. Why would I thank you for it?
Okay, so
And
the kids
on
heard
top-
the kids heard the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, they
okay,
did.
that's good.
And then
that's
on top
awesome.
of that,
Okay, good.
the kid is being ungrateful for what
Yeah.
his dad gave him. It was
A total
$100.
punk.
Yeah, total punk. And so our kids are like, okay, well, yeah, I get it. That wasn't. They agreed that the kid was wrong.
No, and it's true. Like that's what happens. In my opinion, from what I've seen, my experiences, kids that have allowances become entitled punks and entitled just spoiled brats. Because it's Sunday, I should be getting my allowance. Like where's clockwork, So let me ask you real quick: did you get an allowance growing up?
I think my parents tried to give us an allowance, but it was more like reward for chores.
Right.
They did it for a minute.
Okay.
It was not something that lasted.
It is hard. I can imagine being a father now, us being a family, right, and having 4 kids. It is hard. It is hard to try to do an allowance between 4 kids because okay, it get expensive, but it's not just that. It's kind of like it has its pros and it has its cons, right? So the pro for me would be like, well, he got an allowance. How come I didn't? It's like, well, he did his chores and you didn't. He picked up. You're like, oh, I'm gonna give him the double because he did your chores too. So it could be a lesson like that, but it also creates a resentfulness and some anger and some jealousy between siblings.
That even happens when we do the coin system,
right? So that's where I was going. You brought up the coin system a while back, which you give the kids a coin for doing a chore, or doing whatever is asked, or for doing a task or their job at school.
Or just not arguing with me.
Or not arguing. They get a coin, and then at the end of the month, we will add them up, and whoever had the most coins will win a prize, right? I also I thought it was cool, but I also didn't agree with it because there was more like, I don't like the price this week or this month, so I'm not going to try it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, luckily our kids didn't have that attitude.
Well, because I would present the prize right at the beginning of the month.
At the beginning, but then you will do it later, right?
This is what you guys are earning for.
Yeah, and then there was a time when they were like, "Oh, well, we haven't seen the price. Why should we go out of our way?" I remember that one time, and I was like, "Well, don't worry about it. Just get it done.
It is what it is. You get what you get."
And they didn't push for it, but our second one did. And when it was done, I was like, "All right, so your price, since your mom wasn't able to get the price or whatever, your price is." I get to take you to the store, and you get to pick anything you want with X amount of dollars, and that's your price. And he was like, "Oh, really? Okay, cool." Like, and what does this little punk do? Like always, one thing for him and one thing for each sibling.
Yeah,
because he wanted to share.
Because he felt bad that they didn't win.
Yeah. So, but I thought that just shows the kind of person that he is, right? And I do remember that our oldest one, our 15-year-old, came home one day So a few years back, and he was like, my friends are getting allowances,
Mm-hmm.
and I want, well, how come I don't have an allowance? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I should be getting an allowance. You know, my friends have all these smart watches where they can answer their phones and play games on their phone, on their watch.
Mm-hmm.
How come I don't have one of those? Like, I was like, see, that's why. That's why you don't have an allowance, because then you're gonna be like, you're getting money, and on top of it, you're gonna want me to buy you stuff like that, and you're not learning the value of what it takes to earn that money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I made that joke about, I allow you to sleep in my house, I allow you
Mm-hmm.
to use my hot water, I allow you to eat my food, drink my milk, So it was funny, it was a joke, but I know that deep down inside, he's wondering, like, I want money now. When it came to me, right? We were talking about you and your siblings, and so when it came to me, I did get an allowance,
Mm-hmm.
but mine was different because I was by myself. All my other siblings and everything, they were already grown ups. They were already, working. They had their own families. My dad gave me an allowance. When I went to live with my father, he gave me an allowance. My allowance, of course, I had chores. And it wasn't just a chore for the weekend. It was chores every day that I had to do, wake up, sweep, feed the dogs, clean dog crap. Um, make sure that my uniform was ironed and straightened out, my shoes were shined. I cooked my breakfast, I packed my lunch, I washed my dishes, I did my laundry. Like, it was all for the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing with my allowance was, like, it wasn't, here's your money to go have fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like, okay, you did all that, blah, blah, blah. Here's your allowance for doing your chores. But this allowance also is going to cover whatever snacks you want,
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Your
lunch you're
lunch,
going to get
your
for the
school
week,
lunch.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was like, okay, I got to pack me lunches because I got to make, that money's not going to last me. So let's say that my dad would give me, I don't know, 10, 12, I think it was more like 12, $15, somewhere
Mm-hmm.
around there when I was a teenager. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about 12.
Yeah.
I remember that money on Sundays, I would sometimes, every other week, I'll go watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
We have people $12. I could go watch a movie and have money left over for popcorn and a soda.
It's a
And
long time
yeah,
ago.
and save some. I could walk to school, so no, I don't need no bus, no nothing. So, but it taught me how to manage my money, how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the first time I had money, I didn't know how to handle it. I was buying kids sandwiches at school and drinks and sodas and whatever, and then I was like, crap, I'm out of money by Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't have chips or sodas or anything, for the rest of the week. So it was a good lesson, but it was kind of like earned. And then later on in life, it was like my allowance grew a little bit more, but that included having to buy my bus pass and my trolley pass to get to school and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I took it different than other people that I knew that got money, and then they still got everything that they wanted, and then they were entitled to spoiled punks. And now, like you were saying, my previous job, I worked with younger guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I've noticed that these people are always entitled and want something in return. So I think that when you start giving people allowances,
Mm-hmm.
they get that mentality of, why am I not getting paid more? I'm doing the job. I'm doing as much as him. I'm doing more than him. I should get more, because they had the whole, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money. I'm entitled.
Yeah.
Give me that money.
Yeah, and in the book that's actually covered, he does talk about the correlation between that allowance, the entitlement that can come, that it doesn't always come, but can come with having an allowance, and your mentality as an adult in the workforce, where you feel entitled to receive a certain amount of money for what you perceive is the work you're doing and the value of the work you're doing versus the actual true value of it on the business end of
Right.
it. Right. So you think you're doing everything you need to do, but the business might be like, you are like, I'm going to pay you based on what you're doing, and you're doing bare minimum. But in your head, because you expect to get paid a certain amount for the position you're in, or whatever time you think you're putting into it. Like those people who say, oh, well, you're going to only pay me $20 an hour. Well, you're only going to get $20 an hour out of me.
Right.
What is that? Because there's somebody else out there who's going to be super happy to get those $20 an hour, and they're going to give it 110%, while you're only going to give it 50% for that same amount of money. So who's going to get to keep the job?
Yeah.
The person giving 110% because they're grateful for those $20 an hour versus the entitled employee who used to be an entitled kid,
Right.
who is complaining about that $20 an
And
hour.
and it's also kind of like a class thing, right? Because it's funny you say that. When you were saying that, you made me think about the guy that was my supervisor, right? Him and me had conversations, and we talk about growing up poor, right? And how the things that we did and how to survive, and the hustles and things, right? Like I said before, when I lived with my mom, I was poor. When I lived with my dad, I wasn't. But the poor mentality stayed there. Like it didn't leave me. Like I knew there were things that needed to be done and things that had to hustle. So I think that makes you humble. That makes you like, okay, what's my job? Yeah, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna try to do the best that I can about it. And okay, oh, this is how much you're gonna pay me? All right, cool, thank you, I appreciate it. It's like, okay, I'll keep on doing this. I keep on doing
I
this.
don't even know if that's 100% true though. That I've known people who grew up quote unquote poor, and they still have a horrible mentality. They still act like the world owes them something.
Well, those
Like
those are the victim people.
I have family like that.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Like,
from
even
my
though
point
they're
of view,
hustling,
yeah.
even though
But
they're
from my
hustling.
point of view, it's like that's how I was. I mean, come on, I tell this to some of the kids at work. I was like, when I came to this department, I didn't get paid squat, yet I was like, they were testing me. So, or even like right now, right? I feel like I'm getting tested, and I'm getting my ass beat, and I'm doing all this work and everything, and I know that I getting paid less than most of the guys over there that are sitting there drinking coffee, lollygagging, having I don't know how many smoke breaks per day, and I'm like, damn, maybe I should start smoking so that I can have a break. And then it gets to a point where when they try to put you down or whatever, now I was like, hey man, you would make way more than me. How about you do as much as I'm doing? Oh no, I already went through that. Yeah, you're right, you did. You already went through that, and you're where you're at. Cool. But when I remind them that they're not pulling their weight, they get offended, right? But I always stayed quiet. I did what I had to, and eventually
You're talking about before.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then eventually people are like, you know what? This kid never complains. This guy comes and does his job. No matter how shitty, like most people, others would throw a fit, but he's like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. It's like he's always been a team player. Like let's reward him for it, right?
Which is why you move up.
Yeah, and then other people are like, oh well, why is he moving up? Well, he doesn't deserve anything. But they're the ones that are always complaining and crying and griping and saying that mentality of, well,
I
he gets,
deserve it.
yeah, I deserve more. But you always have that attitude where you worry too much about others, not yourself. But that's the thing. Some people take jobs for granted, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know what it's like to have other shitty jobs.
Yeah.
That pay you nothing,
Well,
and they treat you like nothing.
And that was another point made in the book, is that paying for chores. So your kids have chores, and I'll give you this much for it. And some kids be like, yeah, perfect. Every little penny I can keep or make or whatever and put in my piggy bank for whatever they want. Some kids are all for it. And then you've got other kids who are like, that's not enough. I want more. Or it's not even worth my time. I'm not even going to do it.
Yeah, no.
And our kids, we don't pay them for chores. I think, like I said, we tried like for a minute. We're just like, we'll reward you somehow. But in the end, we're just like, no, you're just going to do because you need to learn. And in the book, he was talking about the fact that his rich dad is not his rich dad. It's his best friend's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he calls him rich dad is because of the way he thinks. He thinks about being more than he is. He thinks about having more than he has. He has that positive, I'm going to make it and I'm going to be somebody attitude.
Right.
Whereas his
called hunger, right?
Yeah. Whereas his poor dad is his dad, his biological father, who he loves, a successful man in his own right, but he has a poor mentality. So it's not that they were poor. He's like, he didn't grow up poor. He grew up decently well off, but his dad had a poor mentality where he was just like, yeah, I don't have enough for that. Or we'll never be rich, or we'll never be able to afford that. That just saying those things
Right. He's already being negative. He's
He's
already
being
putting himself
negative
down.
and putting
Yeah.
so to me, when I think about Rich Dad Poor Dad, I don't think about, oh, my dad with money versus my dad without money. No, he's talking about the mentality.
Right.
So Rich Dad had a rich mentality. He's like all about the hustle and how can I make money? How can I better my life? How can I better my kid's life? Versus his other father's like, this is as good as it's going to get. And I'm not going to try more than I already have. Like, that's what he's talking about, is
Right.
rich mentality versus a poor mentality. And then now I'm on this whole, like, how do I get our kids to understand that? Because it's something we've struggled with, right? This whole rich mentality versus poor mentality because of how we grew up.
I kind of disagree on that one because, yeah, I know how I lived with my mom and I know how I live with my dad, but I've also known how I am myself.
Yeah.
So I know that since I was a kid, there was always something that I always wanted more, right?
Yeah.
I was never, and everybody that knows me knows this. I'm never just satisfied with what I have.
Yeah.
I want more. I always want more. Therefore, that's why I always said, like, even in the job, right? Like, I'm hated. Why? Because I keep on moving.
Because you're hungry and you want to keep
I want
moving
more.
up.
I keep
Yeah.
on doing things. I know what it's going to take me to get to where I want to be, right? It's going to.
We're just starting a little late in life.
Yeah, exactly. But, you're right. You're right. I did start. I did waste many years of my life.
And I think that's what my
did
point
things,
is.
a lot of things wrong. I didn't have a guidance. I didn't have the role model.
Me neither.
But you had the family. You grew up. I think, like, I hear you talk about your dad and your mom and how they grew up and what they taught you guys and the conversations you guys had and the church and the people around the church. I know that as kids, sometimes we don't think about that. We don't see that. So
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Like,
But we never
you didn't
talked
grasp
about
it.
money.
Exactly. But for me, like I told you, my dad was a good provider. Like, for the longest time, yeah, I did think, like, oh, I'm poor. My dad works hard. Like, we can barely survive. And then, like I said, one day he's like, here's this card. This is a pen. Go get the clothes that you need. This is just for you. And I saw that amount, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I mean, he wasn't a millionaire, but there was money. And then I started understanding, like, well, yeah, he does do this. He does do that. He does have this car. He does have that car. He does have this girlfriend and this other girlfriend and then the wife. So, you know what I mean? It was like, that shit costs money.
Yeah.
You know? like having more than one household is money because he's the one providing all these damn houses, all these damn women, all these damn kids.
Yeah.
So you're like, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize it. And then it got to a point in my life where I'm like, I'm hungry.
So, I mean, you're talking about your dad and the things that he had when you were growing up that you didn't realize. But me now, knowing your family and seeing the things that your dad has accumulated over the years, he has, in essence, kind of followed this whole idea that is presented by the Rich Dad Poor Dad book of having a passive influx of money. Because he has property, right?
Right, yeah, but that's the thing about my dad, though. He's always in the hustle, so, like, he's always working. He's always doing something. He was always on the grind. He was always doing that, and then on top of it, yeah, he had his land, and he's like, what do I do with my land? Also, yeah, he created apartments, and then that became another extra source of income.
Yeah, to the point, and I think that's the key thing, though, right? It's wanting to have something in your life that will be that income that you don't have to worry about. And your dad has that, like, without reading, this book, without taking economics classes and accounting classes and all. This is just something, like you said, your dad was a hustler and he had a way to make it happen. And in that, he knew that land was important.
I think it was more of knowing how to use what you have. He's told me stories, whether it be being a driver, because I have free time. I'm going to drive people to LA, to the airport. So I'm going to drive people, way back when, from the border to LA. Or I'm going to, deliver water.
Didn't he race cars too?
Yeah, I'm going to race cars on the weekends. I'm going to, get sponsored and like different eras, different things, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, I want to be at my house. He built his house kind of like how he wanted it, where everybody's going to be a little bit more comfortable. And then he's like, well, I have all this extra land. I can probably build some apartments for extra income, you know? I want to say that was his idea. It worked out for him pretty good.
But your dad never talked to you about money, did he?
No, my dad's lessons are always funny. They're very short, and then once you mess up in life, you realize what he was talking about. So
But
it's
it takes you messing up.
yeah, you know, like he was like, credit is very important. Don't fuck it up.
That was his lesson.
That was my lesson on money. You know, like, and then you know when you start getting credit and you mess it up, you're like, oh, I gotta get it. I was like, I told you. You're like, yeah, I see what you mean. You know, like when you try to go get your first car, your first bike, what's your credit like? Okay, cool. Oh, well, you don't have enough credit. You know, you need to make more.
And that's funny because in the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, there's that comment that his rich dad would say, your bank doesn't care what your grades were. Your bank cares about how you handle your money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my dad's credit was always good because he always, you know, hustled it and did what he had to and got what he needed when he wanted it. But,
And do you think, even though it was maybe a subconscious reality for you, like this subconscious understanding of money because of seeing your dad and his hustling, that's what makes you hungry for more?
I always want more, 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 more. I'll give my father that credit. Like for him, it was never enough. He was never satisfied with what he had. He always want more. So that's why he worked as long and as much as he did to be able to have whatever he wanted.
But the fact that he had so many households made him work probably more than he
But that's what he wanted.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's true. He wanted to have all that.
Yeah, that's what he wanted.
And he worked for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't, I want to travel. It wasn't, I want to do this. It was like, no, whenever I want to, I'll go buy me a new car and I'm okay and I can do it. And if, like, you know, he would tell me, and I was like, if I get bothered or upset or people are giving me crap here, then I'll just go to the next house and I'll be fine, you know. It is what it is, you know. Okay. So yeah. So okay. Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny when you think about it. I like to think that everything that I've achieved in life has been kind of by myself. Like there's a lot of it in the last 17 years that I achieved because of you, because you're with me and you're by my side and you help me or you push me or you contradict me and then I have to prove you wrong to show you, you know, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
So luckily for us, we're learning it late, like you said.
Yes, we're learning it late.
When it comes to the monetary wise or like idea wise, but that's part of the being a parent that we have to teach our kids, right?
Money was a very taboo subject in my household growing up. My parents didn't talk about money. And I actually don't recall my parents ever saying there wasn't enough. The answer was always, you don't need that.
Right.
That was the answer I always got. You don't need that. If we asked for something, it was always, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. That's all it was. It wasn't, we can't afford it. It wasn't, I don't have money for that. It was, you don't need that.
And it's right. Because there was times when I would hear that, right? Mm-hmm. I do thank my dad for giving me the allowance and teaching me some stuff in the value of money. But I think there was a time when it just stopped. It has to be
with your personality, though.
Yeah. And that was the thing, though. Like, it was kind of like we were raised. But yeah, so we try to teach it to our kids. I know a lot of people love to like, oh well, you know, they did their chores, like you were saying, they did this, so they deserve it. It teaches them the value of money and whatever. Not, but does it?
And so in that sense, like the whole value of money doing chores. An example that was given in the book that we were listening to was that if you are going to give your kids, at least this is what I'm taking away from it. If you are going to give your kids money for chores, teach them to invoice you. Teach them to treat it like a business.
Okay, that's a good one.
Where they are not, so they're going to learn the value of their time.
Right.
Monetarily.
Right.
So,
that's a good one.
So I'm going to mow the lawn and I'm going to invoice you.
Yeah. So that's a good idea, obviously.
That was the
works.
example he gave.
But,
so that they feel that they're earning the money for a job well done.
Yeah. I know that there's a dad out there like me that's like, fuck that. What do you mean you're going to invoice me? I don't freaking invoice you for the fucking water, for the electrical, for the, you know, for the internet, for, you know, oh, why? Because that's my job, right? As a father, that's my job.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's your job as my
Well, but
kid.
this is just an example for parents that want to give their kids money for
Right,
chores.
right. No. Yeah,
So,
if there's a lesson in it,
because
good. You know,
ultimately he's against it.
yeah.
Like he's saying, do not pay your kids for things that they have to do around the house.
Right.
That's
So-
ultimately what he's saying. But if he goes, if you have to, because it's just who you are, have them invoice
Not that
you.
long ago, I asked the boys, "Hey, wash my car." Mm-hmm. And I was like, they didn't wash it." I was like, "Hey, can you wash my car this week?" They didn't wash it, right? It's 2 weeks past. And third week is like, "Hey, wash my car." And they washed it. One did more than the other. So I was like, "Hey, here you go. Here's $10 for you. Here's $5 for you." "Oh, why can we get?" Because all you did was take your time on the tires and didn't help out the other one. He scrubbed, he washed, he vacuumed, he dried, he did all this, so he deserves more. You just there for the ride, and you were playing and wasting water and just being a goofball.
Yeah.
So here's something for you. Okay, cool. Waited 2 weeks. I was like, "Oh, I guess you guys don't want any money, huh? You don't need any money. Like, you have an offer to wash my car again." Like, I was trying to show you that you guys did something. I was going to pay you for it. Like, this one chore, right?
Yeah.
Like, instead of me going to the car wash and paying somebody else, or me washing it and using all those tokens or whatever, like, I was giving them the idea of, like, oh, maybe we can start a car wash. Maybe we can start washing cars around the neighborhood or whatever. But no, like, they didn't grasp it. They're like, "Oh, no, too tired. I don't want to get wet." I was like, all right. So I brought it up not that long ago to the old us when he's talking about, like, business ideas. It's like, you got your lawnmower right there. You got 2 lawnmowers. Like, you wanna go around the neighborhood and mow lawns? I know I did it with my brother. Like, every time I spent that 1 weekend with him, he was like, "Are you gonna ask the neighbors for mowing the lawns?" Like, or he will volunteer me and I will mow them. And then the neighbors or whatever, the old dude, who's always a really nice guy, he will always, like, go behind the back and make sure that he gave me a 20. He's like, "Your brother doesn't want me to give you money, but he's like, oh, I can't take it." He's like, "No, I'll take it, please." So I learned that sometimes you have to go out of the way to make the money.
Yeah, but
So,
our kids don't do that because
because
he's wants to start a business.
he just doesn't want to do the labor.
He just doesn't want to. No, literally, he told me that he's like, "I want to start a business, but I want to get some partners, and they're gonna do the footwork." He goes, "I'm gonna get one guy to do the marketing. I'm gonna get another guy to do the accounting, and I'm just going to put together the product."
So he's already trying to be a pimp. Like, bottom line, he's just trying to be the pimp.
So he just doesn't want to have to do the labor part. He doesn't want to have to interact with people. He doesn't want to do the PR. He doesn't want to do customer service. He doesn't want to, none of it. He wants to outsource those duties to someone else, and he's just going to come up with the ideas.
He just wants to whip. He just wants to whip. He wants to whip
That's
people
what he
to do
wants.
everything.
And I'm like, buddy, the whole point of you, and this was all part, why we're listening to this, is for him to understand, like, what it takes. Like, ultimately, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he's telling you got to be smart with your choices, right? And understanding what an asset, it gets all into accounting. What is an asset? Was it a liability? If it's not making you money, it is a liability. Okay, so
that's those. But see, that's the funny thing for me. Like, I know I'm not an educated person or anything, but those are the basic rules. I've known all this crap.
But there's lots of people who don't know this. Like, there's lots of people who don't understand this.
I know.
And the thing is,
believe me, I know, because I've had conversations with people about this. I've talked about assets. I talk about investment. I talk about business ideas. You heard me. I've told you about people that I talk to, and they do not want to listen. And then later on, they read this book. And then they're like, oh, it's like, dude, I've been saying that for like the last year and a half to you.
But the other side of it is, so forget the adults, forget grown-ups. We as parents, right? The whole idea is that we say as an adult, I wish I would have known that when I was a kid, right? I wish someone had taught me that in high school. I wish someone had, I wish my parents hadn't been afraid to talk to me about money.
So when you were saying that, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. You were talking about your parents and saying, like, we can't, you don't need that, right? That is one thing that I might be doing wrong. I won't know until never, probably. I have been honest with the kids.
Oh yeah, we are honest with the kids.
I have been honest with the kids where it's like, no, I'm not. I can't get you that right now because it's not the right decision financially. It's like, remember that one time I told the boys, they were like, "Can we go out to eat here?" We go out to eat there. Like, we're gonna spend about on average, let's say, about $120, wherever place it is. It was like you count the sodas or the drinks or the dessert and the meal and everything. Between 6 people, that's 120. Okay, guess what? Tomorrow we're gonna go buy groceries, and of course we buy in bulk, right? Because we're a big family.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're buying stuff, and I was like, okay, like we're scanning it. Where are we at on money right now with all this food? But 110. All right. Look at the food that we have in here. How many gallons of milk? How many cartons of eggs? How much meat? How much chicken do we have in here? How much fruit? Okay, cool. Look at that. How many days do you think that's going to last all of us?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, like, easy a week. 3 to 5 days. I was like, all right. One meal for us all to go out to eat is what it costs to feed all of us for
3 days.
Let's say 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh wow. I never thought. I was like, see? So when I tell you, not this week, no, we're not going to go out to eat. Like, we got to pay other stuff. We got to do other things, It's like when they say, Daddy, don't go to work, why do you have to go to work? It's like, do you like being able to turn on the TV and watch whatever you want? Do you like the shoes that you're wearing? Do you like the clothes that you get? Do you like, going out and doing the things that we do? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, guess what? I need to work in order for us to do all that.
See, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad, oh my gosh, I forget his name. He would say that that's the wrong mentality, right? That's a mentality that we will never make you rich. The mentality of, I have to go to work. I have to be in this rat race to get the things I want in life. That's part of the poor mentality. But
how else are you going to make the money?
I get it.
How else are you going to spend the money to invest to make the money?
But it's because we're starting so late in life.
No, yeah, but see, it's like in a way,
and
he's fucking contradicting himself.
Well, no, because no, he doesn't. If you listen, I'm not giving you all the details because it's a lot of information. But at our age, we're starting way, way late in this whole financial.
No, we're not starting way, way late. We're not, because I've been trying to do all this for a while. It's not taking off as easy for them because I'm not spending as much.
Well,
you guys are barely trying to catch to my point. It's another thing. But we're going way off the subject. Okay, go ahead.
This is all part of it. Okay. In trying to teach our kids about the value of money and the allowances that they ask for, and in trying to make them understand the value of their time for money at a young age so that they're not in their 30s or 40s trying to figure out where to get that passive income so that they don't have to go to work every day to make ends meet.
Right.
That's the goal right now, is to teach them how to make money work for them so that they're not always having to work for money. But because
I get that
because
point.
We didn't save our pennies in the early years. We weren't smart with our financial decisions when we were starting out our careers, and marriages and children and whatever.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's not. So that's where I was thinking. I was like, it wasn't financial decisions. It was more like life decisions.
But in those life decisions, affect the financial.
Some people marry people, and then they're the ones that fuck up the other person's credit.
Oh yeah.
So then they have to live with fucking having to clear that for years. I
completely understand.
So then that's not you planning it. You just planned that. You were like, this is my partner. We're gonna make things happen. We're gonna make it work. And then you realize later that, no, these people are not at my level. They're not helping me. They're fucking making me drown even more than what we were supposed to.
I understand.
So then, see what I mean?
But I'm not done. Again, decisions that were made when we were younger that affected our ability to save and create a passive income for ourselves, right? When you got out of the military, right? When you got out of the military, whatever money you had saved up, is there something you could have started with that money
Perhaps.
instead of
Maybe.
spending it on whatever you spent it on?
Perhaps.
That's fine. Perhaps, right? Me, I never saved money. I'll use myself as an example. I started working at the age of 17, and I've been working ever since. Never made enough to keep all the money in because my debt has always been greater than my income. Okay? Even then, okay? And I'm not talking about credit cards because I didn't have credit cards back then. It was just I had a car payment. I had food to buy for myself. I had eventually rent I had to pay, just never enough to put it away. Or I didn't pay myself first, right? I didn't pay myself first. And I didn't care back then. That's the other side of it. I didn't care because I didn't see the big picture, right? I don't think we're looking at the big picture either because you also made decisions that affected your finances.
My decisions were more selfish.
That's what I'm saying. You weren't seeing the big picture.
No. For me, it was more like I'll work, I'll save some money, and guess what? I don't need to work right now. So because I have all this money saved up, so I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And then when I was like, okay, my money's running low, okay, I'll go back to it.
But that wasn't a smart financial decision.
No, it wasn't. No.
That's what I'm talking about.
Did I get to live pretty good for a little while and comfortable and not stress about the job? Yeah, of course.
but that's the wrong mentality.
Exactly.
That's
but
what we're trying to teach our kids is,
yeah, but I never planned on getting married, having kids, or done any of that. So that poor rich dad guy, it's the same thing. The kids are a financial hit, right?
Yes.
But I don't like to use that as an excuse.
No,
because I'm happy to have my kids. They're my life. I love them. I need them in my life. I cannot imagine my life without them. So if in his mind I'm gonna be the poor dad mentality, then fuck it. I'll be a poor dad. Because guess what? I'm happy with my life. I'm not rich in the way of possessions. If that makes you rich, then I'm not a rich person.
That's not what he said.
I'm rich because I'm rich in love. To me, that's the most important thing in the whole wide world. I'm rich because I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 children in life. I'm counting my godson and my nephews and everything, right? Mm-hmm. That when they see me, they get happy. That love, that smile feeds my soul.
Ultimately, he says, you're not rich with your possessions. You're rich in time.
Okay.
So if you have time to do the things you want, when you want,
right,
you are rich.
So then this is the other thing, though. I think that we live pretty good. I'm pretty rich with what I have, not material things, but like love wise, mm-hmm. family wise. Mm-hmm. So if by that, I mean I kind of lost my train of thought there, but that's how I see it, right?
In the end, my whole point on this was not to talk about all that. It was just to talk about the fact that what we're trying to teach our kid, and this whole fact that he's reading this book and he's interested in learning about how to make a passive income and right. how important it is for parents to not be afraid to be honest with their kids about finance and to talk about money. Like I'm at the point, like it's suggested in the kid one where for parents to kids to create a balance sheet or a cash flow sheet to show your kids. Like to show them, okay, look, this is the influx of money we have every month. These are our assets. Yeah, no, these are our liabilities.
That's not bad. I mean, it's good to teach them, to
help them to understand.
Right.
Because the one thing that he says is that when I go to my banker doesn't ask me for my report card. He doesn't care what my grades were. He asked me for my financial statement. And what he means by that is once you're an adult, it doesn't matter what your grades were when you were growing up. It matters how well you manage your money. Do you have enough to last you in an emergency?
Right.
That's what I want our kids to learn. And I'm happy that our son is interested in learning about it. And I'm actually happy that he has a teacher, a mentor at school that is willing to teach him on that end of it, things that I can't teach him, that we can't teach him, because we made bad decisions when we were his age. We made bad decisions in our early 20s, you know, that now we're still fixing and trying to move forward with our financial aspect of our life. That's the point I was trying to make, is not all this other stuff.
So the main goal was talking about allowances and what it does and what it should be done, should it not be. And I was just trying to say that I don't think it's a good idea for kids to always have an allowance, because it gives them that entitlement, and then they get to be spoiled, and it's just they don't really appreciate the value of the dollar and the value of the money, and they don't know what it's like to actually earn it through hard work. So then when they grow up, they're just spoiled punks who think that everything should be handed to them. To me, an allowance is kind of like a participation trophy. Like, oh, here you go. Thank you for trying. Good job. Here's fucking $5. Here's $10. Here's a 20. You know, thanks for, I don't know, taking out the trash one day of the week. Like, come on. You have to do way more than that. You know, like you're saying, the value of the time. Your time is valuable. So how much do you charge for your time, right? They're paying you for your time.
How much is your time worth?
How much is your time worth to you? Because if it's not worth to you what it should be, you leave. It's a self-love. So you do what you need to do to improve yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go over something real quick that I looked up. So according to I googled the stats about allowances. I got a generated AI answer. So according to the Investopedia, 79% of U.S. parents pay their children an allowance, with a average of $19.39 per week.
Okay,
so about $20 a week.
Mm-hmm.
According to Finder, 68% of parents pay allowances, which is roughly $85 billion a year, if you add it up. According to Greenlight, the average weekly allowance for a 5-year-old is $5.98, so $6.
Why does a 5-year-old need so much money?
$11.78 for 13-year-olds and $19.80 for 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay. According to Rooster Money, kids may actually be better at saving their money than their parents, saving an average of 41% of their allowance.
I think it just depends on the kid, because we've got one of each.
I saved the crap out of all my money.
Well,
they hate it because everywhere they went in my room, there was money.
I was not good at saving my money.
According to a 2019 survey, the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, 75% of Americans said that teaching children about financial responsibility is the most important reason to give them an allowance.
Okay. I know we're like no allowance, but I think there's other ways to teach them about financial responsibility without having to give them an allowance.
Yeah, it says that most parents that give their children an allowance is to teach the kids the value of working to earn money.
Yeah, which I understand, which is why we've tried it in the past. But if there's no follow through, either on the parents' part or the kids' part, where they really don't care, then the lesson is never learned.
Yeah, part of the allowance is more free money to give your children. A regular allowance helps children learn how to manage money while they're still under your parental guidance.
None of that matters if you don't teach them everything else. Right. You know,
so,
like, here's an allowance.
So those are the pros. I'm going to go over the cons real quick. These are the disadvantages of giving children allowances. So we have sense of entitlement, which we said. Mm-hmm. It says children may develop a sense of entitlement if they receive an allowance without having to earn it. This can lead to a lack of appreciation for the value of money and the sense of dependency on receiving money without effort. So, yeah, we pretty much cover that. It says it undermines the importance of contributing to the family. Now, that's a big one, actually. I didn't even think about that. Children may get the perception that duties always deserve a reward instead of simply doing them to share for the family.
Yeah, we've talked about that one.
It teaches working for money isn't always fun. Paying kids for doing chores teaches them that working for money isn't always fun. Okay.
I mean, work's not necessarily supposed to be fun.
Doesn't reinforce concepts of sacrifices or hard work. Children may not have the concept of money or sacrifice if we are just paying them an allowance every week. children are likely to grow up expecting instant gratification and being challenged to differentiate between needs and wants.
Yeah. So ultimately, giving your kid an allowance doesn't matter if you're not going to teach them how to use it.
I think times were just so different back then. An allowance, kids did their chores and they got an allowance, and they clean dog shit and take out the trash, get their room clean and
didn't
organized.
Really get one, so
some kids got an allowance. I think I told my boys, I was like, he gives me smart ass answers. I mean, he has those moments.
The 11-year-old?
No, the 15-year-old.
Oh.
But I shut him up really quick. Can't remember exactly what I asked him to do, but he says, "No, why?" I was like, "You'll take care of it." And I was like, I think I remember saying, I was like, okay, well, I asked him for something like something from joking about the money that he had in his wallet. Oh yeah, like my reward. Like, oh, is there a reward with finding your wallet? He's like, no. Like, here, why don't you have this? I was like, that's mine already. It's like, well, I found it for you. There you go. So I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I'll just get it later. You'll give me money, right? You'll give me an allowance eventually. He's like, no, you don't get an allowance. Actually, you're in debt with me because, your phone bill and your phone. Mm-hmm. Those are extra expenses, and, those extra long showers that you take and that hot water. Mm-hmm. And then you eating all the food at times when you're even taking the food out of other people's plates. It's like, the meals are not for free. Getting you the soaps, your haircuts, all that stuff. You're like, you have money. Why don't you contribute to that? I think it was something about a gaming console. And that's what I was like, nah, I'm not buying no crap. Like, he wants it. He has to do it himself.
Because he had enough money to buy it.
He has enough money, yeah. It was something like that. I'm sweating trying to get him something when.
Yeah. But again, this is the difference between our kids. So he's the kid. So the 15-year-old, he's the kid who saves all his money. He hates to spend it. He will do almost anything to get somebody else to buy him something so he doesn't have to spend his own money. He's even got gift cards he's never used, Whereas our 11-year-old, he can't, the money burns holes in his pocket. Like, he's like, Mom, I have to spend this money. But he doesn't spend it on himself. He spends it on other people.
Right.
That he got for me. I remember if I ever got money, I was buying things for my brothers. And
he got that from me too, then.
Well, you're saying you would save your money.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I didn't take care of people.
Well, I always bought things for my brothers. If I had money to spend, I would buy it for my brothers. And to this day, I really rarely buy myself anything. So
yeah, so I don't know. Parents, do you guys give your kids chores? Do they have chores in order to earn this allowance? Does the allowance get affected on the quality of work that they do? Mm-hmm. How much do you give them? What's the age group for allowances? I think part of my allowance is allowing them to have a damn cell phone, or at least for the boys. Because we all know that cell phones are not that cheap.
Well, ultimately, we don't pay our kids for anything that they do anymore, right? We tried it. They really didn't care. So we don't do it.
I don't even remember trying it that much.
And no, it was, I think we tried the coins more. And ultimately, my whole goal is to make sure that before they leave high school, they all know how to balance a checkbook. They understand how the bank works and how financial statements should work. And so my accounting background will help me with that. And now I just have that focus that I want them to understand what I didn't understand at their age, and in hopes that will help them.
I think that's more of a conversation where, I think about it, but a lot of times I've noticed like your kids don't listen to you as a parent.
Yeah, that's true.
Parents, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying
no.
Parents
it's true
in general. So if you have someone in your family that the kids look up to and listen to, then it will be a good kind of like a family powwow to have that
which
conversation.
Is like the whole idea behind mentors, right?
Right, yeah.
So, for example, I can probably tell my kids and explain all this stuff to them, like introduce them to the ideas. but ultimately I'm going to reach out to my brothers.
Right. Yeah. So they're not kind of like
Who
surprised
have
when they're hearing it
businesses.
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a intro to the lingo, to the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another one. Like where you said right there, we're talking about. Well, three of your brothers can give great advice on them starting their businesses and their jobs and how they manage things and
Yeah,
how
because
they have
one's really big on investing, the other one's really big on, how to manage his business, whereas the other one's good at saving. So,
yeah.
like, they have all that side, and we're kind of like, I mean, you've got good ideas. You're good at investing, your ideas for investing. That's not something I'm strong at. That's just the difference in mentality, right? So I want the kids to be smarter with their money in their 20s than we were. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that our son is asking the questions, even if I'm not sure of the direction it's going to take him in. I'm at least happy he's asking the questions. So, and he wants to learn.
Yeah. Beginning steps. Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see. But yeah.
Well,
yeah, the whole him not doing the work it's not gonna happen.
He just wants to be a boss. He just wants to be a boss. Maybe it's part of being an older kid. I don't know. The eldest, he just wants to be the boss. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that was it.
All right, yo.
Well, y'all have a good night.
All right, peace.
And bye.
Take care.